How's it going, guys? It's CoRazón coming at you with another video. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to create a cosmic satellite audio visualizer. So without further ado, let's just jump right into our project, guys. Let's go into Apple Motion, File, New. We can set our preset to be 4K Ultra HD. You can always set it to Broadcast HD 1080p if you like. Frame rate is going to be 30 FPS and duration is going to be 30 seconds for my case. Set yours to your song's duration. So here are the minutes, here are the seconds. Time coding is what we're using. Let's jump right into our project, guys. Let's go into our media panel. We can always import using this button right here, or we can just right click. I'm going to be using the right click method, and let's just import Journey's Friend right off the bat. So now let's rename the first group to be Grid, and let's import a new group by right clicking. We can always go to Object, New Group, or we can just add object right here and group right there as well. And here's actually the command for that: Shift Command End. Let me test that real quick. Shift Command N. Yeah, that creates a new group. And so let's just label this Satellite. Okay. So we have our grid group and our satellite group. Now what we need to do is go into our circle tool, and we need to draw a circle. So let's hold down Option Shift to be a symmetrical circle, meaning that the radius is the same all over. Let's go into our inspector. And let's actually set, we are already in shape, style. Let's go into fill color. Let's click on that box and go into color palettes, crayons, and let's go all the way down until we get flora, this kind of neon green kind of color. Let's go into geometry this time. Let's set the radius to be 150. Let's go into properties and let's set the position to be reset parameter, dead into the center. Let's rename the circle to be circle grid. Okay. And now we can actually replicate this. So let's replicate it. And let's rename this replicator to be Replicator Grid. Shape is going to be rectangle, arrangement, tile fill. Size is going to be 6500. And height is going to be 4500. So the width is going to be 6500, height is going to be 4500. And let's actually zoom this out so we can see what we're doing. Columns is going to be 50. Rows is going to be 20. Scale is going to be 10%. And it looks something like this. Let's zoom in real quick and see how it looks. Something like that. Looks pretty nice. Let's go into Replicator Grid. Let us import a filter. Let's go into distortion and let's actually import poke. Radius is going to be 500. Scale is going to be 0.3. 0.3. Center is going to be, we're going to be editing the X and Y center positions. So X, let's actually add parameter behavior oscillate. Let's set the phase to be 4. And let's set the speed to be 8. Let's set the amplitude to be 0.5. And we're going to be labeling this oscillate X. Go back into poke. Let's go into Y this time. Add parameter behavior, oscillate. Let's set the phase to be 5. Let's set the speed to be 8. And let's set the amplitude to be 0.5. Let's label this oscillate Y. Go into Replicator Grid. Let's go into behaviors. Let's do replicator sequence replicator. Parameter is going to be opacity. We're going to be setting it at 100%. Sequencing is going to be through. Unit size object at first, and then we're going to be switching it to all after we set the spread to be at 10. Object is going to be all. And traversal is going to be custom. We're going to be mapping the location to our audio again, and condition is going to be hold. So let's actually label this sequence opacity. Let's go into Replicator Grid. Let's go into behaviors, replicator, sequence replicator, and let's add a scale. Edit this to be 10%. Sequencing is going to be through inverted. Unit size is going to be custom. Start is going to be 0.05. End is going to be 1, and spread is going to be 100. Traversal is going to be custom. We're going to be mapping our location to our audio again, and condition is going to be hold. Okay. Now we're going to be going back. Let's actually rename this to be sequence scale to be organized. Let's go back into our sequence opacity. Let's go into location, add parameter behavior audio. Let's actually import our journey's friend into our project. This green line represents the audio, and you can see the waveform appears now. This is our audio timeline. This is our video timeline. Going back into our layers, let's go into audio. Let's label this audio opacity. Let's set our parameters here first, and then let's import our source audio. Keep in mind that this is very relative to your specific song, guys. Mess around with the graph range, mess around with the low and high frequencies, mess around with the peaks, mess around with scale. You can always mess around with respond to as well. Keep in mind that this is very specific to your specific song, so just keep that in mind, guys. Okay, let's go into graph range. Let's do mid. Let's do peaks as smooth, and let's set the scale to be 5. Let's add journey's friend. And let's go back in. Let's now go into location for sequence scale. So let's go into sequence scale this time. This is sequence scale, it's selected. And let's add parameter behavior audio. Let's add the graph range to be mid, and peaks are going to be smooth. Scale is going to be 1.5. And we're going to be mapping this to journey's friend. Okay. So let's render this out and let's see how it looks after I label this audio scale. Let's minimize this. Let's close that off. Let's lock it, and let's see how it looks after we rendered it. Okay, now let's see how it looks when we zoom in. Let's do fit. So it looks pretty nice, like kind of like you're in the Matrix almost. So now let's go into satellite. Let's actually uncheck this, but right now we're going to be unchecking it so that we can just focus on the satellite group right now. Okay, let's go into our circle tool. Let's press Option Shift again, and let's create our circle. Let's go into fill color, color palettes, crayons. Let's go all the way down to flora again. Let's go into geometry. Let's set this to be 150. And let's go into properties and let's reset parameter. So that's dead in the center. Okay. Let's label this circle satellite. Let's replicate it. We can always press L on the keyboard again. And what we're going to be doing is turning 3D on. Let's turn face camera on right off the bat. Shape is going to be sphere. Arrangement is going to be outline. Radius is going to be 200, that's fine. Columns is going to be 50. And then scale is going to be 1. Now, this is very important, guys. We're going to be clicking on this button right next to the lock button or lock symbol. So we're going to be clicking this. We can always go into satellite group, and we can go into group, and we can toggle 3D on right there. But I just like to just press this. It does the same thing. Saves a little bit of time, just so you know. So now we're in 3D. Let's close this group off just so the camera doesn't do something weird. So let's import our camera. And now let's go into our satellite group and let's unlock it. Let's go into our right view. Let's go into this transform orientation tool. We can see it right here appear, and it gives us a little preview of how it's going to look in the active camera view. And I like to put it around 3150 for Z. You can see it right here. So that looks pretty good. Let's go into our active camera view. Okay, so let's go into our satellite. Let's go into Replicator, and let's actually rename this to be Replicator Satellite. Let's go into our rows. Let's add primary behavior audio. Let's add the mid frequency to the graph range. Let's do peaks to be, sharp is fine. Add is going to be multiply, and scale is going to be 4. Okay. Let's do audio rows. Now let's add source audio to be Journey's friend. And let us actually go into rotation. Now we're going to be able to do a little bit of animation here as well. X is going to be add primary behavior oscillate. Oscillate X. Let's just label it. Phase is going to be 2, and speed is going to be 8. All right. Let's go back into our properties. Let's go into Y rotation, add primary behavior oscillate. We're going to be just leaving it as is. Let's just rename this to be oscillate Y. And let's go back into our properties. Rotation Z, add primary behavior oscillate. Phase is going to be 2, and speed is going to be 8. Okay. Let's rename this to be oscillate Z. Let's lock this. Let's lock this. And we're going to be viewing what the satellite looks like just by itself. Let's see how it looks. Now let's see how it looks like with the grid. Okay, now let's transcode it, guys. So let's go into export movie default. Let's use these settings. If your resolution is 1080p, it'll be 1920 by 1080. And you can copy these settings if you want. I'm going to be using these settings. So let's just transcode it. Export it, and let's label this Cosmic Satellite. Save. Now let's see how it looks after it's finished transcoding. All right, now let's see how it looks. Alright guys, if you liked this video, please leave a like and have a good day. Peace.
Bye, have a great time.